and everyone tuning in and watching from YouTube in case it goes on any of the lovely HP audio podcasts, which are all over 11 different platforms. Can't ever remember all of it, but 5D Mystic here in the Enlightenment Soul Age of Functional Adult, and I have not decided on our title yet. So, on that note, though, I want to start with one mystics. I got to hear another way to present what a mystic is, in addition to the spirituality lingo. And so, one, here at IHP, we use words randomly, this and that. I'm an enlightenment soul ager person, so I don't stick to linear anything. Okay, if you need linear, that's for people who are pretty much only left brainers, is what I'm going to say. Because that means that your right mode is not in usage. Right mode means you can sit with the unknowns, uncertainties, and unwanteds of life and be happy in here. I'm also an empowered woman because I have a whole inner child. Okay, so no trauma charges lingering. This is very important, and we take this very seriously because when I look in your eyes, my body, which is a vessel, but let's not make it into a technological instrument, please. So I know a lot of 4D and 3D out there. So 3D, basically, they just refute anything that is New Age spirituality, yoga. They're like living in the medieval times, is what it looks like to me. I get it, as I grew up with people that are from that era. And it's 2024, so we're not in the SCART letter. That's at least for us, the free lovers, polyamory, come on over, secure attachment people. We're all over good educational material, and we're not trying to be teenagers anymore. So the teenagers that I remember, they didn't really make smart decisions. And in fact, my most important years of learning, pretty clear cut. What was it? About 3 years tops. I was like, okay, you know what? You're all immature, low self esteem, everything, and not safe at all because you have so many different mood swings that I don't even know. And none of you are taking ownership of it. And basically, that's the gist of it. But hey, I'm a teenager too. The difference is I'm choosing to stick to my guns, meaning thank you, Jesus, thank you, God, and thank you, rules, laws, adults. I'm like, yep, I know what I'm doing in life. I decided already. By the time I was 8, I decided. No question about it. So when you know who you are, that's empowerment. You don't go with the wind at all, not even a little bit. It's called secure attachment, and it's called I decide to know that I have no shame in here. No, I also have my first 3 years of life, very great, a happy child, and a twin. So humans are safe. Again, empowerment. It's loving more, not less. Okay, so mystics. Let's get back to that for a minute. And divine feminines and divine masculines. We're integrating it all. So I'm going to bring in also some of my lovely, these are Gateway of Light Activation Oracle. They called to me for part of our messages. And this one's a Stargate heart chakra opening, unlocking generosity. Cannot be generous if you have judgment in your body, which most people do without noticing that they do. No, they do. They just think they're right, like teenagers. And I was a teenager who was just as much a teenager, again, as anybody else. But every time somebody said, mind your own business, you're invading my space. And I'd be like, am I? Well, yeah, I am, actually. So I remember coming to the conclusion of, you don't let people tell you what to do. So you're being a hypocrite by trying to go around telling others what to do whenever people say, you can't tell me what to do. Okay, so here's third eye activation. It's introspection with your intrapersonal intelligence, means you're emotionally aware of yourself. Not, no, I don't have emotions, which is what I noticed. It's, no, I'm not tainting shit with my emotions. I'm just being the truth of everything. Okay, so once you get to grown up emotional land and mental land, you're no longer like, oh my God, it's personal. Which I noticed a lot of grown-ups. I'm 44. I'm like, how many people need to still be teenagers for the rest of some of them for the rest of their life is the point. So we don't use time with trying to figure that. Nope, their stuff, not my stuff. Divine feminine, those we want to nurture. The masculines, yeah, all of them. Any person who doesn't have their feminine, meaning their inner child up front, is always going to be just a masculine to me, because they're going to be going back and forth, back and forth, back. They don't know what the fuck to do in life because, oh, look, my emotions, I'm insecure, I got shame. Let me not do self-help. Let me not do therapy. A lot of people, they go on screen. I'm not doing therapy. I was doing great. I'm just going to stay fucked up because humans are fucked up. No, so sorry. Lame excuse. Nobody's fucked up. Oh, 3D just talk about it being some demon. Neuroscientist Patrick McNamara. Fear receptor in your brain. Your brain's trying to heal itself from trauma charges. You can get it all together. It's very simple and so straightforward that people know they'd rather have the pseudo life story because that's what else the journey people do. Yeah, they're on a journey of the adrenaline rush. They're not addicted to it. It's an active, poor human being body that has sympathetic dorsal vagal adrenaline rushes due to the biochemistry of fear. We all know our limbic system. I know mine, and I was happy to get out of venting, get out of doing all of it, and I did it without any attachment trauma information, which I am, and I continue my education. So the mystic part, it's really fun when your clairs get activated, and nobody's more special than anybody else, because it's bullshit to say I feel more deeply because I have clairs. Did you think you can feel what a 1 year old who's in a terrifying home feels? Just gonna say, I know I'm lucky because I got secure attachment, and I'm pretty sure that I'm really lucky just for that alone, that I have secure attachment, and my poor 1 year old is not scared shitless. And I said poor because I feel bad for every child out there. Anytime I think of children, I'm thinking of their 1 year old, and I'm hoping and praying, and I'm like, I hope they got a good home. Did they get a good home? Did they get secure attachment? Because at least they'll know healthy self worth a little bit until they become teenagers, and then they lose themselves, which I saw these teenagers begin to become. I don't even know what they were doing. So again, they didn't look inside. No, Maria. And I just said, you know what? They're right. I should mind my own business. My mother taught me, who does for themselves does for three. And why would I be bothered with people who are doing human suffering and choosing to do things that are not going to get them anywhere in life, and then they grow up, and in fact, it's very interesting. Oh, the external, the facades, you can look good. I'm going to know inside if you look good, because your inner child's going to scream to me, let me out, let me out. I'm not going to be able to do anything, and I'm not going to say anything either, because Pachas don't lecture Cuscos when they're lying in their face and acting like buffoons. This is why we do Dharma, not karma. And we know when we're actually having karma, by the way. FYI, divine feminines, we know everything. And our soulmates remind us, no, you don't, no, you don't. And we're like, yeah, whatever. We don't, but we do, but we don't. And that's the fun of being in Dharma, by the way. And that's the fun of being in 5D. So left mode and right mode. It's easy to think and feel. And I was having a conversation with a person. We're going to talk about that. Self-help in a minute. Personal development. So here's where that one was retreating to recharge. Nobody needs to go in the middle of the mountains unless you need to consistently expand your window tolerance. And that one is a good place to start. So if your body can't contain emotions, so somebody lies to you, like, they lied to me, why again, why me? And you're my age, 44, women, please, okay, go get a good therapist. That way you can stop doing the why me button, because there's a lot of women that are talking about things in a certain way, and I'm thinking about all the women that I've seen actively go out of their way. They have narcissistic traits, not to say the least. They're love dependents who are desperately manipulative, and in their head, their left mode has made up the story that they were told ever since they were little. You're such a good person. You're such a good person. Everybody takes advantage of you. Everybody takes advantage of you. And they have convinced themselves that they get taken advantage of every time. Now, the men, we all know about the men when they're imbalanced. I see men all over the place. In fact, there's this psychologist. Every time I see that man, I'm like, wow, I can't even believe it. These teenage men who never grew up, they're not wanted. They're complete, not even, and I won't go there. I just thought he has a degree, and then I'm like, yes, Maria, as long as you have money, you can get a degree. That's what it takes. So that's why education is not what empowers people. It's saying, wow, we're all people. Some people have low self-esteem and they never get out of it. No, never say never. They can if they want to get good therapy and take ownership of their emotional plane, and then stop being ridiculously teenager-like and say, no, we're the special group over here. So we're all humans here. Here, nobody's special. FYI, we're all on the same plane. It's all a plane of possibility. What do you want to do? You want to be emotionally grown up? It's really fun, by the way. Okay? So we have our preferences. It's smart people. That means that they're stable, mature, adaptive, rational, and teachable. That's a divine feminine. Don't bring me a masculine or a divine masculine that doesn't want to get their divine feminine, because I'm going to notice it. I'm going to be like, yeah, you're so awesome. Bye-bye. Have fun with the drama queens, kings, and days of Elsa's Journeyland as we see them flocking to their Peter Pans. And they won't want to be around the stupid people, because we're going to be like, your pedestal dude is not somebody I care about, really. Not at all. I see donkeys flying right now. That's exactly how stupid I am, okay? Bye. We're happy. We're happy when people leave us alone, because we really don't want to be around them. So this is where clarity, divine healing, yes, high vibrational energy. You are energy and I am energy. But see, my energy is my mammalian heritage, which you can get too. And that's why we have self-help and personal development here on IHP. And we support the people who take seriously their inner child. So they heal childhood trauma. They don't project shit at us. And they have great personality disorder therapists like Dr. Daniel Fox who humanize every single one of those traits for antisocial personality groups, borderline personality groups. He has highly sensitive groups, all of it. He even recently talked about the negative aspects of those who say, I'm a mind reader. And everything about mysticism has nothing to do with somebody saying, I know everything about you because I have clairs. Okay, so I've seen that part. Oh, that one really gets me because that's the overconfident teenager with a poor 3-year-old, with a poor 1-year-old, who basically their brain, to protect them in their unsafe home environment, literally scanning self and the other like a frantic, poor, hyper, and it's not even funny. What's going on inside is a 0-1-year-old that's freaking out because I need to make sure to make the home of mine safe for me, which is everybody in the home. Not the body's already unsafe with relationships. And they play out their patterns of unfinished business to the lesser or bigger degree. So again, here we have the people who are healing that so that we can be in good relationships, which is really straightforward, but it's not as straightforward as you might think because we got a lot of people who love Hangover and Mean Girls and all that entertainment and say, no, that's love. Really? I'm going to say that's a biochemistry of fear, and you don't know Stephen Porges, because secure attachment is when love begins to come up. And there's a bunch of different ways that anyone can present to you, but I do the whole shebang because we get to come together to support, again, all people who want to have human love narrative. Human suffering, they got all the Zen masters telling them about laundry in here. We here say, okay, if it's very, 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 very hard and you know out-of-body experiences, we get good therapy and we work all together. And we have the patience to work with you and your mood swings and all that great stuff. Yeah, not great stuff, we know it. Addictions, you name it. But you need to be motivated. If you're not, we know you're not going to stick through. So you need to be sticking through it. And that means I'm going to say you're a piece of shit right now. You know that, right? Because you're out of your thing, and we decided that we were going to do it this way. So how about we go and continue working with what exercises are going to help you to stay motivated. That's how people do it when they choose themselves in life. So there's always a balancing scale, and that's where feminine is. We're not going to make excuses for you. We won't shit on you either. And this is the one part that some people don't understand until they're enough of their own feminine. It means they know they have a 0-1-year-old. Means they know they're flawed and imperfect just like anybody else, and they don't deserve, like nobody else deserves in the entire planet of this earth, like animals and all of the ecosystem, to be treated like a piece of shit. It is very straightforward how to be a decent, smart human being. Put to the side all that societal stuff, which is changing anyways, and to other people who I'm not even going to talk about those people, because those people a long time ago, I'm like, I don't use the word leader for a reason. You're going to show me if you're a leader, and I'm going to know it the minute you treat your neighbor like a piece of candy or a piece of shit. And the minute you treat anybody like a piece of shit, you ain't no leader in my book. You just did something called projection, and you didn't notice it was personal, and you didn't notice how to pause, and you didn't notice how to, you don't have empowerment, so you're not a grown-up yet. You're a person who's a teenager with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old who has a broken heart, and nobody's home, and your home is basically your embodied brain. I'm not going to use any stories. I don't need them. I have the attachment trauma information, people. And Dr. Daniel Siegel, we're going to use some of my notes from my recent class, which is really great, Consciousness and Change. As he shares with me a couple of notes, I forget what it was specifically, but how 97% of what is going on outside is unavailable. And that's why we have 4D and 3D continuing to believe their stories. We're going to leave them to it, because that's exactly why I'm not a flat earther. Woo-woo pseudoscience is fine for 5D mystic for one reason. It's Christ consciousness. Jesus was a man, walked on the planet. And when people said, you can't stop venting, you're not Jesus or Buddha, they were people. So if they can do it, I can do it too. This doesn't mean I'm comparing myself to anybody else. That would be disrespectful to say the least, but they're a human body is what I'm saying. I don't know where you come from, and I don't know how you don't know how to use your brain, because left, shut up for a minute. Oh, look, I have emotions. You're right here. That's easy. Oh, look, I have a gut. That's easy too. And let me share. So I was talking to a beautiful 20-year-old person, and I said, here, let me give you some tips, because they were having a bad day. And I said, one, I have Reiki. Are you okay with it? FYI, theologians have decided that we're energy of yuckiness, which is not true, but I need to let you know out of my responsibility in case you're interested in this. And so they're like, oh, it's okay. I want some. Yes, I'm really irritated. And they shared with me why they were irritated. And I said, okay, here's some stuff. Get out of empathy, get into compassion, and do this every time you get irritated. And what I'm telling you, as you wonder what this means, it means this. I have emotions coming up, and that means that I'm making it personal, and I got some thoughts coming up. I'm judging another human being based on my own ideas. I could use this shutting up for a minute. Okay, emotions, we really don't need to be here because it's none of our business. We're being affected, and I'm doing burnout because technically I'm irritating my own self. And the person said, this sounds good, but hard. But he didn't say it. It's impossible, Maria. So that's where I said, okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, no, 0 to 10, I said, how hard is this that you're telling me? And he says, 7.5. I was like, okay, well, we'll work with that if you want. I'll give you practices. I have the Wheel of Awareness from lovely Daniel Siegel. Thank you, Daniel. And I said, we can do a wheel, and you can tell me what emotions you want to work with and how and what, and we'll see if that helps you to get from a 7.5 to 0, because you have a body, you're young, and you can do it. It's about like working out, okay? Every day you do it a little bit. No, always. Anytime you get irritated, which is why you have people who do therapy and then they say, I don't want to do personal development. And you're like, wow, that just completely ruined everything you just said, because you just decided to give up on yourself because you don't want to work with your emotions, which are actually the most beautiful part of life. If you don't have emotions, you would be dead. And the fact that people want to say, no, it's hard because it's just, okay, the hard thing not going to go away if you don't work with the emotional plate. It's very fun. Come on over. Okay, so back to Daniel and mystics. So divine feminines, the true divine feminine, will never, ever, ever tell you to give up on anyone. Let alone do we say surrender to divine timing. Anytime you hear that, you're like, what are you talking about? We had 2 hands, 2 feet. What are you doing? You sound like you're waiting for, stars to fall from the sky, and that's the illusion of the 4D plane. Which, how long did it take me? It took me a while to figure it out, because when you first get clairs, they're very much intrigued by all the stories. No, it's not the stories. It's that 4D has a lot of information that is helpful, and that's because of esotericism, mysticism, stories, a lot. So again, I don't mean to do any of the let's get rid. No, all of us, we create the collective, and we need each other together because we all have different brains with different interests. That's the point. So I share with you how to be a human version of you and a 5D mystic, and to have fun with it, and science and spirituality come together like this, because spirituality is living a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. So that means I'm a human, you're a human, Sid, Diego, Manny, but I'm a Pacha, Cusco, all of those, okay? So who wants to be a Pacha? Come on over. And that's why we don't do death card is death. No, it's transformation. It's really awesome, by the way, and it's fun. So it's fun because we're grounded in our humanity. Divinity overflows. Thank you, Sadhguru. It's not a god. No, please don't do that. That's really not respectful to the people who use that word as if it's an entity, and not as if. For them, it is an entity. I know of it as dark matter, dark energy. Enlightenment, soul, age. No laundry here. Back to Dr. Daniel Siegel. So as he shares, they have found out that 97%, the sciences people, of what goes on in our lovely out there is unavailable for us to see, because dark matter, dark energy is what makes up the most of it. Okay, so he gives a quote that he got to, he doesn't quote it, I'm going to quote it, but this scholar, John O'Donoghue, and I'm horrible with pronouncing anything, not anything, but some things, definitely. And he asks this person, I'm just going to use his first name, John, he says, John, what's a mystic? Because he was using the word. And he says mystics are people, or is someone, who believes in the reality of the invisible. Now I'm going to share Sadhguru's way of defining mystics. We experience and perceive things. We don't need to understand it. I understand it too, because I understand how my brain works, and because I learn about neuroscience, neurobiology, about mental health and attachment and trauma, and how to be a human. And there's other stuff, but I'm not remembering the words of them. The physicist people, yeah. Anyways, what I was trying to get to is the neuroscientists explain when we're in a flow state. I know when my brain is in a flow state, And that's why I can identify when they've explained what lights up in your brain. And when Patrick McNamara talks about how the brain is with REM and REM seeping through the daytime and nightmares, I don't have nightmares because I choose how to, no, because I'm not afraid of this plane because I told God a long time ago, this evil thing, I don't see it. I see human suffering. I'm going to walk with Jesus in love, but I don't know about evil. And today we have Michael Stone. He's a forensic criminologist. Everyone who's evil, they all need a good therapist. They all had some form of childhood trauma, something's going on, and please don't be stigmatizing anyone. So the psychopaths, they're just as human as anybody else. There's like a small something chemistry, I forget how they explain it, the smart people, and it's all something that they can work with when they get good therapy, which I've seen them, and they actually are part of our human herd. So again, let's not use movies or 3D, 4D ignorant people who say yoga brings demons out of you, or who think that there's actual demonic possession when there's neuroscientists who share with us, no, there's not. Like that one, what is his name? Neil deGrasse, I think it was in Cosmos, when he's talking about Hippocrates, and they find out that epilepsy is not the God's curse, but that it's something, and I forget, and I have friends who have epilepsy. They're human. They're not any demonic anything. And in fact, this dude, Hippocrates, the oath of doctors, they're supposed, and there are the ones who care, by the way, but there's also the ones who just wear the mantles like anything else. So when we see mantles, we know they think they're superheroes because they're going to have a supervillain. You're always going to notice who's not a divine feminine or a divine masculine with a divine feminine, because it's going to be somebody who's in their cognitive dissonance, implicit bias, their teenager Cusco attitude who does something like this. You're confusing spirituality and sciences. No, I bring them together. No, let me correct you again. I think you don't know what you're talking about. No, I know what I'm talking about. No, let me show you my tattoos and how I know about Buddha and I know about quantum physics and I am a mystic. And let me keep on interrupting you, lady. And this has happened to me. And I'm like, okay, by the third time, you got a 3-year-old who really wants to come out and share with you why they're right, which is where the maladaptive child is, and it's an adaptive child behavior, and I'm used to it by the time I got to figure out, you know what, I'm not going to go doing this thing to people, telling them what to do, what to believe, because it's right. I would not, you can't change, you want to try doing something here, yeah. Keep on talking, and that's the reason why people don't like me, if they want me to nod my head as if I'm, because even if I nod my head, which I tried doing as a teenager, your words, they're words. That's it. Your concept is your concept. That's it. Again, when you present to me 1% statistics, oh, sure, okay, yeah, keep them coming. I'm going to hear you. That's it. Now, if I have a question, because I'm uncertain, I know who I go to. That's because I know who academics are, who the reliable ones are, and then I know if I'm being confused by people because they're a mixture, and then I go to my people that are sciences, and I say, hey, to my masculines, can you clear this up for me, because I'm not sure who's telling me the truth. So these are linear thinking people, and that's why I know who they are, because I need you. I don't remember regurgitation of material, and I got a bunch of people, they're confusing me now. I need you to help me to know what's the truth. And I actually don't know how to tell when people are joking. So even with jokes, people who find out that I really don't know, it's like falling from a sky, they explain it to me because they actively know that. And they help. See, when people figure out how you think and then they help you to see another angle, you can slowly, and so slowly I'm picking up on sense of humor. Slowly. It's because people figured out how my brain works and then they work with my brain. This is the difference between when people accept that you don't know versus saying, no, you're just pretending. Okay, sure I am. I guess I'm pretending to not understand something when I'm just saying I don't understand it. Help me understand it. So I know in my left mode, like I don't understand. My right mode is here, but I don't understand anything. Okay, so when you're clear with how your brain works and you're not like, oh my God, they're not choosing to explain it the way I want it, you just allow yourself to say, they'll figure it out. There'll be people who know how to explain it to me, and then there'll be people who'll be like this dude who interrupted me 3 times, and I said, hey, it's okay. Let me hear what's your conclusion, since I'm confusing things. Science is what's going to lead the way at the end of the day. Yes, because science is, again, and spirituality go like this. So what is a mystic? A mystic is someone who believes in the reality of the invisible. We don't believe in it alone. Okay, so 5D mystics, we have a relationship with dark matter, dark energy. It's called consciousness. It's called Akash. And as a 5D mystic, it's something that I have the honor and pleasure to bring to our channel. And I want to finish up with Daniel, and then we'll talk a little bit more. So as he shares, if you're going to be a true scientist, you're going to be a mystic, because to pretend that you can actually see everything, perceive everything as it exists in the world, that would not be scientific. It would be an unscientific statement, because the totality of reality is a lot of invisibility. Okay, so again, he is presenting a concept. This is not a truth. Concepts, not even a hypothesis. He's presenting an opportunity to see things in a certain way, which is where the linear thinkers, they don't like these types of human beings, which is why we have the two groups. Which is why, again, it's not about it being right or wrong. It's about you get to be a part of a group, a human love narrative group. We are open to possibilities, because we know that 97% of what is out there is invisible, unknown, and guess what? Some of us, we're okay with that because we use our right mode. So dealing with the unknowns, uncertainties, and unwanteds from within with your flow is the inner growth mindset basis and the main modules. But also what we want to understand, again, back to my course with Dr. Daniel Siegel, Consciousness and Change, there's this lovely wheel of awareness. And what he shares about when you enter this plane of possibilities is that you enter a plane, because awareness in general is one of the pillars of the mindfulness. So that helps your mind, your divine masculine, to work with your brain. Okay, and if you have had any childhood trauma whatsoever, mindfulness studies are showing, like yoga, it supports you to grow the prefrontal cortex, corpus callosum, the interconnected connectome, which integrates your brain, and the hippocampus, your memory center. And these are all affected in the first year of life when you don't have secure attachment. And if you have fragmentation and huge trauma charges, is why what comes up, Peter Levine, muscles, bones, tissues store your trauma charges. And trauma, fragmentation, there's a lot of different words. Don't be a stickler for it, because I'm not using them that way. Okay, you can ask questions. I have the course material and I can review them. But the point is, it's not any demon that comes out. It's trauma stuff that comes up. And if you have a good holistic and or counselor and or anyone around you who's attachment trauma informed, they're going to say, hey, your window tolerance, it's shot up the roof. We want to get a good therapist. I consult with my good therapist. And they always say it's all good. If you're safe space, that's great. That's the number one. And then you have people that you can work with. And if they trust you and you have people you trust, that's how you expand that network. And that's what a holistic practitioner with responsibility will do. It won't say, hey, guess what? Tarot can solve your problems. No. Reiki can solve. No. First of all, you're not a problem. Two, your maladaptive child behavior requires you to say, I want out of these mood swings, and I want out of the inner critic, and I want out of all of it. I want to be a free human being. Okay, so what happens with awareness is that it is, I need to look at all my lovely notes here. Awareness is the plane of basically uncertainty. So when you drop into awareness, it's maximal uncertainty, which then leads a person to deal with, literally, he says, whatever certainty and uncertainty has happened in your life. And so if awareness is maximal uncertainty, which means you will deal with everything that is certain and uncertain. And let's say you've had lots of trauma with abuse or neglect. That's where trauma comes from. Emotional abuse and emotional neglect, physical abuse, they all have different ways that they will affect a human being. They're all healable people, okay? They're not, don't dehumanize people, please, which is what the mantles of mental health. Here's what God does. They test you with narcissists. Yeah, okay, mantles, go along. Here, come be immune to the narcissist. Excuse me, that's a person you're talking about. Okay, so again, when people want to use their mantles, we say, wow, no, we don't get near them. If I have a person, when they say so, I say, I follow Jesus, who taught me how to forgive and love. And I know God doesn't test me. And actually, there's one test, even even if it is, let's just hypothetically say you want to be tested. You know what God taught me? How to be humble. And how I was made exactly the way he wanted me to be made. And that I was asked to follow in the footsteps of the Son. So I'm going to say forgive, turn the other cheek, don't cast no stone. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. Oh, look, potshot, you got a heart, I got a heart. Yep. So it's a quite straightforward equation. So whenever I see any human being, adult or younger than adult, and not teenagers don't count. When I say teenager, I'm talking about the immature Cuscos out there with their mantles on Elsa's journey. And I'm talking right now about people I see who have more certificates than I'll ever have because I don't need the certificate to know that you're on your Elsa journey with a superhero cape and you're fighting a supervillain, which is your own home, and you are, in my opinion, somebody who should be, taken down a notch and gotten back to recovery because you haven't recovered. You're like Braveheart, but you're not Braveheart and you're not a movie. And here's 10 ways how to get underneath the skin of a narcissist. Wow. But people are going to look up your content. Oh, and back to the women thing. And men, yeah, so men can be assholes, women too. And what I've noticed is there's a lot of women that act like the squirrel from Cusco. I don't like to see that. And they want to think that they know things because of their clairs. Versus look at themselves and how they treated another human being and then what they actually built. Because, see, building karma is very clear to the eyes of those of us who see. Yeah, we're going to have another episode on that one because that gets me going. But awareness, maximum uncertainty. Let me have compassion and remember. So they're dealing with their own home, bringing it out into the open, pointing a finger to another human being, blaming another human being, shaming another human being, faulting another human being, even going into anger and revenge and envy and jealousy and all of it and say, I justify myself with the anger circuit, which is going to say, I'm right, which is why, as Dr. Daniel Fox shared with the mind readers, he says, stop doing it. Stop doing it now because you cannot prove intent. You cannot prove any of what your mind is coming up with. And there's your very straightforward, decent human being. We know this already, which is why we don't do any of it. I, though, have my first few years of life totally happy, continue to be happy. And when I got to my adolescent, unsafe. Oh, not because I can't trust anyone ever again. No, you're all moody. And you don't know how to handle your moods. I do. It's easy. It's called Maria's World. Doesn't need to be projected out there. I know how to share a floor, though, because I got a twin. So there you go. And, again, I have really sad eyes when I hear about all that happens inside a person's world before they can even have enough room to see that they're a person like anybody else. And so it's only once a narcissist, a borderline person, bipolar, any of it. They meet Dr. Daniel Fox, he humanizes them. Thank goodness, Dr. Daniel Fox, because he is out there and all people in his community are like, thank you so much. You've made me into human, and everything you're describing, I can so much feel felt. I feel seen. I know you understand me. You help me motivate. You help me. He gives practical ways. He's not making it into some superhero cape. In fact, he doesn't use any of what I see the other people with superhero capes using. And that's the part of where you're going to always navigate. People navigate to that which they want to bring into their world, but they also navigate towards that which they're prepared to take ownership of. If you're not prepared to take ownership of your own inner world, you're not going to look for the content that says, here's how to get out of maladaptive child behavior. Here's how to get out of your human suffering love little shit that's going on. And it's not little. So when you meet people who are doing the work, that's where they're going to come join us. When you meet people who are flaunting around their mantles, that's where tell me more. Did she that song? I'm sure that people are all over that. Okay. And on that note, here's where when women come and say, why me? And I'm thinking of Terry Reals. His lovely relationship grid explains very clearly the shame, manipulative, desperate men and women who play out this scenario. And then the women get controlling and angry in their grandiosity. And they come and say, why me? And that they're doing the right thing to maintain their control because another human being is trying to impose themselves. And that other human being and or human beings in general, no, they didn't try to impose anything because I'm a witness. But I know that I have a 3-year-old broken heart coming to whine to me and not going to good therapy because I also am a friend who will share, here's what you can do, here's what you can do, here's what you can do. Guess what they want, Patrick Tiahan, lovely Patrick. I'm going to bring him. He's a childhood trauma survivor, healing and therapist. Come on over. I'm going to have a chit chat with him, even though I hope he laughs about this if he ever comes across it. But as Patrick has shared online, people go to holistic practitioners, tarot, Akashic record readings, Reiki, all of it, thinking that we can do shit for that inner child. It's like, you can't. There's no magical wand. You need to get good therapy, good psych education. You need to figure it out. It's like, yes, Patrick, I agree with you. I tell them they don't want to listen. You know what people that don't want to become grown-ups do? So, one, they come to me. Like with Ursula, the difference is we will always, of course, support anyone that comes. This is the part of the responsibility and the ability. And the responsibility, I want to actually touch upon that from a mystic perspective. So again, anyone who has a hard time with emotions, there's a solution. Anyone who's wearing a mantle, you don't want a solution. You don't want to become the grown-up emotional version, which is a secure attachment version of yourself, which is boring according to attachment coaches who have not securely attached. I'm like, wow, that's the way to motivate the people. Say, I'm just going to stay fucked up because we're all fucked up. Nobody's fucked up again. Your body is an actual system that's trying to optimize itself again, meaning to return home to its optimized version. And I'm so sorry you don't know about that, but I do, which is why when you're present, you allow to be a person who can support another person who's already actively trying to get back home to themselves, okay? You can be a space for a person to lead themselves home to their optimal self-organization. Okay, that's where Daniel Siegel, again, from this course, he has a lovely way to share what pure awareness is, which is where a person like myself, no trauma charges, I see you, I'm present, I'm attuning to you, I'm resonating, and I'm trusting, because it's not about if you tell me the truth or not. I'm trusting because I'm an expanding piece of consciousness. And so when I'm near you as an embodied brain, you and I are going to vibe together. The difference is I'm going to know what I'm vibing with. And I'm going to learn, as I have, and thank you, Daniel, for all the suggestions, to continue to differentiate, not make it personal. It's not my nervous system. To create what is not, I need protection from some person. No, I'm vibing with another person's nervous system. I'm differentiating. I'm remembering that I'm allowing myself to resonate with another person. And then I'm going to look at you and I'm going to keep on engaging in a way that's comfortable to both, and I will learn to consistently just link and know that I am like, and Daniel gives this beautiful example, the guitar. He says when you pick the first string, it affects the rest, but the rest don't become the first note. And it is fascinating as a mystic. What I can share with you all is that part of being able to remember that you're not the other chords, or excuse me, that you're not the first chord. Okay, so when you're a person who's able to be present the way that I'm talking to you about, which is what a divine feminine truly is, and I say truly, not out of trying to disrespect anyone, but the reality is it's offensive. When I see mystics who don't know anything about the pure consciousness sphere, the minute I got clairs, I knew it was something not from the ancient times, because, you know, it's a different year. It also feels very egoic, not to mention, like, mantles of Elsa. So you already know when you got a person who needs to feel special, because it's the minute you tell me we're anointed and special, then I'm like, what are you doing right now? And then the minute you start looking at me with eyes like you think you're something that you're not, or someone, now I'm really in a tough spot, because I'm not going to get into an argument with a little child who's, you know, on Sky 9, thinking of themselves as whether it's a prince or a princess, don't matter. I'm just going to know, I'm going to shut my mouth, be polite like I've been taught, and also leave it alone, because you're completely out of the land of the living in this moment, but you're a person who is emotionally invested in this new stuff that you're exploring. And so again, throughout my years with clairs, I've been active since 2007. There's no saga with your twin flame. This is bullshit, but it's bullshit for a person who's a secure attachment 1-year-old, which means a divine feminine with my own divine masculine. I know I'm a choice point, you're a choice point, pretty straightforward as it gets, and I don't have questions about who my soulmates are You're too inflamed. And when people like to put you on the spot because, this is the part, it's very flattering. It's very flattering. And it's an honor always to be with people. But when people put us on the spot sometimes, and that's happened in a couple of ways, we really don't know what to do with it. Luckily, we have a herd. I have a herd. See, whenever you're a person, you understand that the world is a big place, that between men and women, there are a lot of low self-esteem people out there. Not all of them want to go to good therapy. And so they tend to use the fucking drugging, drinking as their modes of coping. So when you go out anywhere, you will have the capacity to meet people who don't go out to drink and just be happy. They go out to drink because they're not happy. And that's the difference. I go out and have fun because I'm happy. And I don't drink to make up for something. Now, some people, they loosen up a little bit. But that's the part of where, if you've taken your life into your hands, excuse me, then that's great. If you haven't, we know it. And that's where we're going to wonder, how can we support as a herd? So these are various stories, again, integrating. And on purpose. So this episode has no specific objective, like a lot of them, except to do food for thought, self-help, personal development, spirituality. So again, mysticism is something that nobody has one answer for, but we're going to just to recap, someone who believes in the reality of the invisible, but also sciences believes in it, and we believe, but we also can continue to perceive, experience, to continue understanding. We have our sciences people, and so consciousness, we are consciousness, but we're not going to say consciousness creates reality in a way of disconnecting from the fact that I have hands and feet. I'm a Newtonian body. So I get to be that 5D mystic. Again, Christ consciousness, you have emotional, mental awareness, you want to be a human being, you want to get to your whole 3-year-old heart. It's all about self-help, personal development. Everything this channel is so that you can become the version of yourself that I have my authentic 3-year-old. You can have it too. How far you take it, that's up to you. But at the very least, self-awareness with emotions and thoughts to become more of a decent human being and to be able and support however far you want people out there. Our lovely Sadhguru quote, let me read to you all. I got a bit of cold going on here. Okay, not that one. Where is it? I think it's this one. No, this one. No. Where are you, Sadhguru? Here it is. If you are keen on doing something about human suffering, attend to yourself first and also to people around you. That is the best way to start. So human suffering comes from the aspects that you have experienced in certainty and uncertainty. If we have trauma from abuse and neglect, we have a 3-year-old who's going to be scared shitless, again, of relationships because they didn't have relationships that were safe. When we have a person who can understand that, it's because we have a person who has an open heart. And an open heart doesn't mean that you're going to be perceived as kind or compassionate, because a person who's not welcoming of their self will not want to be seen by you with the eyes of no trauma charges. The minute that I look at anyone, and that's any somatic empath, they're therapists, there's sciences people, and 5D mystics is what I'm going to talk about right now, not the ones who call themselves anointed or special. You put them in a whole different category. Because a person who's a mystic is a person who's not going to be acting like there's something that is needing to be, So, Sadhguru, for example, it's an honor to know him. I don't know him personally, but I've seen him speak. He doesn't want people to behave the way they behave, but he also knows that he's here to say and share what he's doing. And you can tell when humble is what a person has because of their entire demeanor. The people who are confused are the ones who have the need of a good therapist. In fact, Dr. Daniel Fox, thank you again for the data points. He shares how people, the mind reader people, the mind readers, any person with borderline personality, for example, the studies show if they see a neutral face, they automatically hone in on it as negative. You know why? See, he doesn't explain or expand on it. The why is those first 3 years of life are scary as shit. You don't know what the fuck a neutral face is. And your brain and body is scanning self and others in this frantic, scary way because you didn't get what was needed so that you could feel safe to be in relationships. So a neutral face it's something that's going to trigger negative, and they're pretty good with negativity. So spotting negativity and reading that's where the borderline personality group can pick it up like that, something along those lines. But like he says, stop doing it because it's affecting everything else. So you choose how to shut down those thoughts and emotions while you're interacting with another person. The psychoeducation helps you to understand that we're all human beings. Nobody's an evil anything unless you want to be in Michael Stone's scale. And again, that's where people get surrounded by therapists. Okay, so on that note, when we want to support each other, we do for sure self-improvement, it's self-help, self-personal development, spirituality, it's living a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. Divine feminines, we expand our oversoul, not diminish. Divine masculines, they expand their oversoul too. 5D and our human potential, it is definitely a verb-like connected process, as I get to learn from Daniel Siegel again and again. And the quantum realm is where we get to be in this space, but as Newtonian objects, is how I'm going to put it. And that's because we all will be in a state of love. If you're working with your humanity, and that means your emotions and your thoughts, when I go out, I enjoy people. I have a herd, as I was saying, and my herd keeps an eye out. And I love knowing that my herd keeps an eye out because I know that there's unsafety, men. So sorry, I don't definitely know that I would pick the men that I want to be around. It's not because of it being a man thing. The women, it's because I'm a woman that women will come. I don't appreciate when they're not objective and they're actually really venomous. They're venomous snakes. And I've seen it. And I can't do anything about it because the venom is not actual venom and they're not actual snakes. They are people who have unfinished business and have not chosen to go to good therapy, and they choose to become the blamers who are in the victim, and they get to the controlling angry. They justify in their brain what they're doing, which is why they're just as dangerous as the men who are just as unobjective. So any human being, man or woman, can be venomous and a snake in the way of, not a snake, poor snakes, let's leave them alone. A human being who has unresolved trauma is a maladaptive child behavior. They have envy, shame, jealousy, guilt. They have a story for you. They will keep telling you, Maria, men are fucked up. Women are fucked up. Why does it always happen to me? And I'm so tired of this. But at the same time, here's the part, the responsibility. Let me close us out with, as a person who has consistently in the past 7 or more days reminded myself, and I will be doing it as long as it takes for me to get here and here in neutrality, not because it's indifference. No, it's because there's no need for me to have a charge at all. Because you choose human love or you choose human suffering. And in equal cases, you got people who are going to support your reality because it's the whole point. You're going to go find the content that, look, see, they told me I'm right, which is not what this stuff is for. This stuff is for saying, if you're doing the whole right-wrong thing, that's called an adaptive child. That's called self-bridled expression. That's like the person who interrupted me 3 times before I had to let them speak because they wouldn't have shut up. And I was having a very important conversation. So they interrupted me as a grown human being, not a teenager, but they did the teenager thing again because I was a teenager and I would do the same thing. I learned how not to do it because the minute they presented it to me, I was objective. I got to be Jacob and I got to be Isaac and Abraham, these personality types, but Jacob is the objective one. Abraham is the other, oriented towards serving, and then saying, see, I serve everybody. See, I'm the victim of everything. Okay. The self, it's me, and there we go. So anybody who doesn't have their own Jacob personality, they don't, one, have their divine feminine or their divine masculine. They're not 5D because they're not like, wait a minute. When you are, you're like, you know what? I am telling people in a very firm tone, because again, definitely firm tone, what to do in life, and it's wrong. Yes, it's completely wrong, because if they come tell me what to do, I'm going to be like, yeah, fuck you. I didn't curse as a teenager, I do now. And then I said, so you're a hypocrite, Maria. You need to stop doing it. Otherwise, you're going to be a hypocrite. This is the value body and then your heart body, and you're maintaining your physical, emotional, and mental body, and that's why you maintain pure consciousness. It's not something pure because it's, no, it's unconditional love because, like, wait, I'm flawed. I'm imperfect. That's right. And I have an ego too, and I don't want people to tell me what to do. I'm a 3-year-old. Yep, the world does revolve around me, but it doesn't. When they don't, okay, let me recalibrate, and you recalibrate. And you stop telling people what to do, and you remember my lovely mother, who does for themselves, does for three. And I was like, you know what, it's true. I don't need to be involved in people's drama. They continue to be in drama. And that's how you learn how to mind your own business and the responsibility. As we close out, we're all a part of the same cloth. I learned this from God already, brothers and sisters. And today I say dark matter and dark energy. And I can say it's a big ball of energy, bunch of stars. Where's my stars? Actually, you know what? I'll just use the Stargate heart that way. So we're all this. This is what I'm going to say. We're all a bunch of stars. And that is where there is some sort of whatever cosmos rule. I don't know the words, but that's the part where I do forget, because I don't like to think about that one. Because that means we always have to have, as long as consciousness is expanding, two sides. And that's where my smart divine masculines, they let me know. And that's why I'm going to stop now. And I'm just going to say that, as the Dalai Lama pointed out, and as lovely Daniel Siegel shared, we'll close out with this one so that we can give respect to all people. And that is where we can approach life with laughter and love, not in spite of all the suffering, but actually because of it, and that we have a kind of responsibility to bring joy into the world. Thank you, Dalai Lama. Thank you, Daniel Siegel. So an integrated brain is what you see, a restorative embodiment person, a secure attachment, it's a differentiated self, but I got lucky. I didn't have any of that trauma stuff. I only had the basic trauma charges. And I got lucky again because I chose Jesus' path, love, and I got lucky again, and I continued with my clairs, and I didn't get lost whenever I got clear land. I was like, I'm not anointed. No, I'm not. And that's why for me, we have the ability. I have the ability to create a safe space for you. And then I have the ability to keep on moving with you. As a divine feminine, I have a responsibility, because I and you are part of the same cloth. And that is how mystic, divine feminine, will know I will not be cutting any cords. I will not be insulting any person. I will not be withdrawing from any situation that is part of my journey, because I am you and you are me. And that would be, in my book, choosing fear, which would mean that I'm choosing what is not brave, which would mean that I'm scared, and why. Okay, so here's the point of why secure attachment and relationships. You're a person, I'm a person. I can use my mouth, functional adult, to say no and to keep a safe space, and this is healthy self-worth. And I don't feel shame, and I don't feel guilt, and I don't feel bad, and I don't feel upset, and I don't take it personally when you don't like what I have to say. I actively will stand my ground as an empowered woman and say no. And if that no is not respected, I will know how to use my words again, and I will not dehumanize you. I will not disconnect. I will not detach. I will not do, there's 7 Ds that the lovely therapist I learned from talk about when people, they lose connection with other people. And it's disconnection. So there's detachment, dehumanization, delusion, demoralization, division, destruction, and that's it. So when you meet people who do any of this, which I meet, all the mantles of mental health, all the mantles of yoga, all the mantles of spirituality, in one way, shape, or form, they do this. Because if they didn't, then they would stop being angry with people. They would work with their anger. They would stop being sad with people. They would work with sadness. Sadness is about connection. Anger is about correction. And then certainty is about fear. And so all of those, working with yourself. Tune in for more. And this one is an extensive one, but I think we'll have one more of these today, and I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Like, share, subscribe, and ask your questions, anything you want. And I always do food for thought, so remember, it's a lot of different material, human, spiritual, and spirituality elements, and it's personal development. And let's support people who are healing. Let's be love, and let those inner children of ours come out to play. Have a great day.